Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Smith, and here's my presentation on Charity Water, a nonprofit organization. Charity Water was founded in 2006 by Scott Harrison in New York City, New York, USA. The mission of this organization is to bring clean and safe drinking water to people in developing countries. To the right, I have a photo of Scott Harrison along with the cover of his book entitled Thirst. Quite randomly, I ended up listening to this audiobook over winter break and found Mr. Harrison's story to be incredibly moving. Ultimately, it was the combination of stumbling upon his story late last year and then luckily being assigned a nonprofit for this assignment that made me choose Charity Water for this presentation. The social issue tackled by Charity Water is the global water crisis. 1 in 10 people in the world live without access to clean water, and 80% of those people live in rural areas. Having access to clean water has the potential to save upwards of 16,000 lives each week. In fact, diseases from dirty water kill more people than all violence combined annually, and that's including war. Charity Water funds water projects in various forms, including wells, piped systems, biosand filters, and rainwater harvesting. They accomplish this task by partnering with local organizations who carry out the majority of the work on site. They begin projects by conducting extensive evaluations to determine if the water project location is feasible in terms of both access and best use of their financial resources. After the location has been finalized, a water committee comprised of local community members, typically 6 to 8 people, is established in order to train these committee members to complete minor repairs with spare parts that are left after the initial install. Efforts are also made to teach proper sanitation and hygiene habits to the community members. The average water project cost is $10,000, which typically provides water for around 300 people, and 30% of that funding goes toward community training. According to the Charity Water website, 59,608 water projects have been completed in 29 countries to date. In terms of design thinking, Charity Water is known for being, quote, solution agnostic, meaning they adjust the water project to the needs of the community, which is why they offer so many different forms of water projects, as I explained earlier. A solution impact evaluation can be witnessed in the unique transparency procedures utilized by Charity Water, which I will further discuss in a bit. Finally, in terms of revenue generation, Charity Water operates with a 100% donor model, meaning that all public donations go directly to water projects. Charity Water is able to function with this model by employing a separate account for their overhead costs. The well is funded by private donors and partners who specifically desire to fund the administrative operations of Charity Water. They are often entrepreneurs themselves who understand the need for overhead funding. To the left here, I have a screenshot of a map. This map is featured on the Charity Water website, and each yellow dot shows where Charity Water has completed water projects. So you're actually able to interact with this map on their website and click on each dot to find out more about the specific location. So for this screenshot, I had clicked on Makarawa, and it shows that there they installed a piped system and a tap stand, which provided water to about 215 people. And then those numbers there in the middle show the geographical coordinates of the actual physical location of the water project. And so this is one of the ways that Charity Water really prioritizes transparency. They feel that it's so important for donors to know exactly where their money is going. In terms of struggles, at the time of Charity Water's founding, 46% of Americans reported an overall distrust in charities. And because of that statistic, Mr. Harrison was adamant about maintaining a 100% donor model, which was not sustainable because donors cannot always provide funding each month. And so after consulting with business experts, Charity Water established a donor subscription concept entitled The Spring, which involves an agreement where the subscribers contribute a specific donation amount each month, and in return, they receive exclusive content from Charity Water, featuring stories and photos and updates of the current work of the organization. The Spring allowed Charity Water to finally start financially planning for the long term. Now, just to provide further clarification, if an individual wants to donate to Charity Water, they are not required to subscribe to the Spring. You can still make one-time donations or even regular donations without entering into a sort of contractual relationship with Charity Water. I like to think of it as a Netflix or a Hulu subscription where we, as the subscriber, have access to the content, but the understanding is that for that content to continue to be accessible, we will consistently pay for it. And so just again, if someone wants to donate to Charity Water, they do not have to enter into this specific agreement. Moving on to failures, while the concepts of man-made wells are not new, between 30 and 40% of wells in sub-Saharan Africa are not functioning at any given time. And Charity Water knew from the outset that their organization needed to do better than that. However, they did run into a frequent inability to monitor the water projects post-installation. They initially relied on the local partners to monitor and evaluate the state of the water projects, ensuring that they remained in operation. But with headquarters in New York City and donors primarily located in more affluent areas of the world, the lack of access to current data called into question the true impact of the funding. So Charity Water needed to develop a plan for remotely tracking the water projects. So on the other side of that coin, for their success, Charity Water could not find an existing sensor that was suitable to the needs of their organization, so they decided to create one. They currently use a cloud-based water sensor that reports 4 different modes: flowing, needs maintenance, inactive, or unknown, which just means that the sensor is located in a place with poor cell service. At their headquarters in New York, they have a TV that displays the monitor outputs at each of their water projects across the world. So I combined the recommendation portions of this presentation because in my mind, my suggestions have components that could simultaneously improve the current state while also increasing the scalability of Charity Water. I base these recommendations on the arguably few, but nonetheless valid, criticisms that have been launched at Charity Water. In terms of improving the current scope of this social innovation, Charity Water admits that their water sensors remain in need of further revision, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, which frequently experiences unreliable internet connection. My recommendation is to develop a sensor that does not require internet for the recording of functional data. Charity Water would then need to deploy maintenance teams to frequently analyze the data and address and/or anticipate any current or future problems. This would not allow for constant monitoring, but it would lead to job creation, at least until internet is more stable in those areas. This is obviously not a perfect solution, but I'm learning that perfection is not the main goal of social innovation. At this point, I wanted to clarify that my next recommendations are targeted at the structure of the organization, which I don't want to be misconstrued as failing to meet the instruction given by our instructor to focus on the innovation rather than the organization. My observation is that in many ways, the innovation of Charity Water is the organization itself. The use of wells to provide clean water to rural areas is not new. Neither is the concept of having local companies complete the work with funding provided by a third party. I would argue that the structure of the organization, their use of funding, water committees, censors, among other things, is their most notable innovative component. With that being said, I'll move to my scalability recommendations. As can be expected in terms of scalability, the procurement of further funding will likely always be a goal in any social innovation endeavor. One of the most frequent critiques of Charity Water is a lack of specific information regarding the individual organizations that Charity Water partners with in order to complete the water projects. Some reviewers opine that donors may be unknowingly funding organizations that do not share the same values as Charity Water, and that although the partnership is solely for the purpose of completing the water projects and partners are required to adhere to the 100% model, Charity Water would further intensify their transparency levels through the provision of more thorough details concerning their local partners. Finally, Charity Water could land additional funding by establishing methods for obtaining more precise metrics in terms of their impact. Through the addition of statistics that show the number of jobs created, the decrease in waterborne disease rates, and the average travel time required to access water before and after the water project, Charity Water would further substantiate their claims of benefiting the areas of health, education, time, and women empowerment currently listed on their website. Finally, this slide just shows my references, and I just wanted to conclude by saying that there really are so many other aspects of Charity Water that I could share, and it would not be an inaccurate accusation to say that I am low-key obsessed with this organization. I am particularly impressed with their commitment to restoring integrity in the public perception of charity work. Overall, Charity Water expanded upon established and accepted charity concepts to deliver a basic need to 11,664,962 individuals, and I find their work to be unspeakably valuable. Thank you.